Hi, I'm Susan Taylor. I'm a business analyst at Datacom Wellington, and I love my job.
Hi, Cora.
Hi, Jessie.
A business analyst is someone that looks at how a new or existing business works. They'll look at its structures, its model, design processes and systems in order to achieve the goal the company are after. What exactly is a business analyst?
Okay, a business analyst is somebody that actually helps the business do their business better, that understands the business, and then from that they're able to actually help the business take advantage of opportunities or solve some of the business problems that are facing that business.
So in my mind, I think of business analysts as creative problem solvers. And that's because they help companies reach their goals by first understanding what the problems or challenges are today. Second, they gather requirements by talking to the business about what the current processes are. And lastly, they come up with the best course of action or recommendation based on business constraints.
This is where a business analyst comes in. They learn the business need, they learn the business process, figure out how those processes need to change to meet the business need, and finally document, communicate, and facilitate agreement on all of those changes. A business analyst might work across all the business units on a single project initiative, or they might work within just like a single business unit and collaborate with other business analysts across on a cross-unit project. A kind of specialist business analyst is a process or a business process analyst, and these people usually focus on process modeling for the sake of creating efficiencies like finding bottlenecks or places to save money on cost.
Business analysts, they work with clients to understand the actual problem that exists. They also work with the internal stakeholders. If you are an internal business analyst for an organization that's helping the technology group within your company. They also use the current data to outline what the problems may be. So they do a lot of research, they do a lot of discussions, they have a lot of communications with folks to understand what that problem is. And then they use existing data to outline that problem to show what the facts are. They also outline and communicate the client's requirements to the team. So if they're talking to internal stakeholders, they're gathering information and bringing that back to the team. They have to understand, they have to have really good communication skills, they have to have really good listening skills in order for them to be able to determine what those requirements are, hear what those requirements are, and translate that back to the team.
So good business analysis is going to help present solutions, create a logical decision-making process, remind people, we went down that road before, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole again, and kind of plug those communication gaps and really help facilitate communication across departments, across different levels of the organization. And yes, that process, it takes time. It's not like you put a business analyst in and snap, they come up with the requirements, but it's going to take less time and less churn than if you kind of just didn't have somebody who was in charge of facilitating that part of the process.
The business analyst is going to work with the clients a lot to understand what they need and what the problems that they're having. And then they're going to work with the managers and try to figure out how that's going to work within their team. The next thing that they do is use current data to outline the problem. So they're going to have to go in and actually look at the data and then understand what that client is wanting so that they can describe to the team what they are trying to solve and what they're looking for. And the next thing that they're going to do is outline and communicate what the client actually wants to the team. What is the problem? What are they trying to solve? And how are we going to get there? And oftentimes a business analyst is going to do all the analysis around that and then actually hand it off to either the programming team or a data analyst to look into this further and actually solve the issue.
If you try to get a definition for business analysis, you're going to get a lot of varying definitions. The simplest, concise way to explain, what business analysis is that it is a set of tools and techniques that provide value to the stakeholders.
And so why did you become a business analyst?
Well, I enjoy working with people and I enjoy problem solving, and that really kind of comes together for, in business analysis, where you have both the analytical side of problem solving coupled with actually, working with people and understanding kind of people, what drives them, what's important to them.
My role specifically involves using or implementing new systems, as I'm a systems business analyst. There are 3 key roles of business analysts. First of all, gathering requirements. As I mentioned before, business analysts are responsible for gathering and understanding the business requirements. And for me, this is often the most painful, or the process that takes the longest time, because you have to really understand and ask questions.
But generally, what you're doing is you are managing requirements. That's one of the first things that you do as a business analyst. So you're the one who is asking all the probing questions. You're the one digging down into your documents. You're the one observing all the different techniques that you can use to understand the requirements. And again, you're not really just trying to quickly come up with a solution, but you're really trying to uncover the root causes. You're really trying to understand the jobs to be done. You're understanding what is the person trying to do. And you're always looking at people, right? You try to understand people and their motivations. It's almost like a psychology, right? What are they really trying to do? Why? The 5 whys, right? So you're going to be conducting a lot of interviews. You're going to be doing a lot of research, because you have to understand the market, the questions they're trying to answer. You have to understand the whole thing in order to conceptualize solutions, right? So there's a lot of research that a business analyst is doing.
There's no such thing as an average day for a business analyst. It can be anything from spending all day and sometimes a whole week in workshops with customers, with other members of the team, trying to work out what the system that you're trying to build needs to do, through to something actually where you're sitting at your desk or standing, as I do, and writing documentation, so you're recording. Communication's key. Being an inquisitive mind, problem solving skills is really important. Being a people person, I think, is very important, and having some business knowledge is really good to be able to relate to your customers and the other people in your team.
The second one is acting as a key translator, or the facilitator between the business and the solution providers. So this could be technical teams who are building products. This could be manufacturers, vendors, or IT teams. So basically, depending on what the scope of the project is and what the problems that you're trying to solve are, you have to be the middle person between business and the solution providers. So for me, because I'm a business systems analyst, most of my solutions involve making changes to the current system. So it could be SAP solution, it could be other types of solutions. So basically, throughout the project lifecycle, we have to, once we identify the business needs and what the business requirements are, then I have to be involved in the process of communicating what that new change is going to look like. I have to document what the current business processes are, as well as what the future process might look like.
The thing that you're doing as a business analyst is that you're articulating change. You are articulating change. What does that mean? That means that once you've done your eliciting and your analysis and you're doing your modeling and all this stuff to understand the world, and you may have defined or come up with a future state from the problem that you've uncovered, now you need to be able to communicate that. So your communication is going to be super important as a business analyst. And that's what I mean by articulating change. I mean that you're changing from this current state to this future state. Well, you can't just change by yourself. You need to talk to the teams. You need to talk to the managers. You need to make sure everybody's on board before this change can happen, because it's going to affect everybody, right? Everybody in the department that's directly being affected, but also it could affect your customers. It could affect different departments. So you have to make sure everybody knows about this change and that you get buy-in about the change. So you're articulating this change. How do you articulate change? You're having walkthroughs with your development team to say, okay, we want to change. Let's say this is a software system that you're changing. We want to change the system. We want to do this thing. Here are some mock-ups of how the new system is going to look. And here's the rationale behind it. This is why we're doing it this way. And then you're going to listen to the feedback that you get when you articulate your change. And maybe you have to do another round. Maybe you have to go and change something yourself. Maybe you have to rethink what you thought was a good solution. Maybe you have to talk to some more people and figure out if this is really the best thing. Maybe the development team is going to tell you that they can't technically do this because of the constraint of the technology. Maybe there's some technical debt, whatever. There might be things that you will hear when you articulate your change that causes even more change, right? So you have to go and rethink what you thought was a good solution. So it's this iterative process of refining and refining and refining until you get to the right thing.
One of the favourite things is actually being in a project from the beginning, where you hear about the idea of what the customer wants to achieve out of a project, through to the end where you actually see those results, see the benefits that they get from using it, and the better information sources that they have at their fingertips now that they've got a IT solution that they can use.
Communicating via your PowerPoints, you're communicating via your emails, you're having discussions and meetings, you're having brainstorming sessions, you're doing ideation sessions, you're doing all of that stuff. And this is not to scare you to say, okay, whoa, sounds like a big thing. No, I'm just giving you the gamut of what you're likely to be doing, right? But when you're doing it, it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel like this is a big pressure, because it's just, you do this, and then the next logical step is to do that, next logical step is to do that, and so you keep going on. For example, when I start a new project, I first need to understand what the purpose of the project is, why we're doing it. You might need to talk to the people who are doing something a different way today, understand what they're doing, why they do what they do, all the different nuances of it, and then sit back and say, okay, how could we improve this? This is the problems I uncovered. And sometimes you have discussions with your team just to clarify the problem. So when that part is done, then I move on to, okay, let's come together with a different set of team and let's think through what could we do to solve this particular thing. And then we solve this, or we come up with some ideas for this. Let's think through something else for this other problem, and we think through that. So I'm saying it to you now, and it sounds like it's a whole lot of stuff, but it's progressing, right? It kind of progresses. And after a while doing it, you kind of know the natural step. So it's not that bad.
This has been a pretty typical day as a business analyst. I've been analyzing what the problem is, talking with the clients and stakeholders about what they want at the end of it. I've been pulling data out of their systems and analyzing it and using it to draw conclusions and make some recommendations that can really make a difference in the client's business. One of the things that I really like about doing work as a business analyst is you can often see the amount of relief in a client when you can solve a problem for them. They know that they need to make this change to be able to move to the next level in their business, but they haven't quite been able to get there themselves. And sometimes it's a matter of they don't have the right skill set to do it. Other times they just don't have the time. If they've been running a business for many years on their own and it's grown and grown, they have a real difficulty to be able to step back out of the business and look at it objectively and say, how can we make this better? How can we do all of the analysis and implement the changes? Because the reality is they run a business that relies on them doing the work for the clients every day. So they haven't had the chance to be able to step back. I really like being able to make that much difference for a client that makes their lives easier, makes them be able to expand their business, and also helps them see how to think about problems or challenges a little bit differently the next time they might run into them.
So again, these are the benefits to becoming a business analyst. Just to repeat, you're in a pretty booming industry that's not going anywhere. It's fairly recession proof. You've got the work from home flexibility. You can work from anywhere in the world. For the most part, you just need internet and a laptop. Easy to transition from another career. Doesn't require as much training as other careers do. And the salary is pretty solid, depending on obviously your experience. So
what characteristics does someone need to be a business analyst?
Okay, they need to have very strong problem solving skills, because that's basically what they do, is the problem solving. But they also do need to have that engagement with people, to be able to get information from people and to be able to put that together and bring it back to people so that they can clearly understand what they're going to get.
So good at crosswords.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
The
and
best
so
BAs that I've worked with have some of the common characteristics that I've noticed. So first of all, they have very great interpersonal or excellent communication skills. So they're able to easily talk to people, build relationship with clients in order to build that trust and momentum, and they're able to communicate their thoughts or opinions or questions in a very clear manner.
And so if you could list from school to today to get to where you are, what steps do you take?
Okay, well, starting at high school, I would say getting involved with developing your English. That'll actually be really good for communication that you need to have to interact with people, and then build up that analytical capabilities. And then moving on from there to actually do a degree, any IT type qualification or psychology, and then beyond that, getting work experience, like understanding kind of working within a business.